Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, so we're playing Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland, the Fria Ligan game. This is our second investigation. The group successfully completed investigation number 1, which was great. So before we get cracking, promo stuff below the stream is a link to our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube, our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us and the other nice people who watch and are involved with the channel. And also our Patreon, which if you like what we do, you can support us on that and get things in return. Other things that we do on the channel, on a Wednesday night, we do Simba Room, Dark Fantasy Adventures, and one weekend day a month, we do a different one-shot adventure with different GMs, different players. The next one is, I'll probably be corrected in a moment, I think it's the 17th of this month, and I think it's Alien. Yes, great. So that is the third Alien story that we'll have done, and kind of the completion of a trilogy, I believe. So everybody's really looking forward to that. It'd be great. Right, cool. We normally do recaps now, but instead we're going to do what the characters have been doing in the couple of weeks since the previous adventure. So first, let's bring on Inga, who plays Constance. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
What has Constance been doing since the completion of the Radcliffe Tower mystery?
Well, I figure she's probably checked in at the Rose House, where I assume we all probably went back in that direction. And Constance had turned up in London in any case to go do some charitable sort of work in the hospital. So that is where she's continued on to, and probably received more care than she's helped to give, given the shape she was in by the end of the last adventure. I think she stayed around London, probably kept an ear out for goings on around everything she's just experienced, but Bear mostly spent time in the hospital.
Cool. Great. Let's bring on John, who plays B. Hey, John.
Hello.
What has B been up to?
B went home, spent a significant amount of time back home at her cottage, sort of getting back to life as normal and sort of wrestling with herself as to whether she really wanted to be a part of a fancy London society and, mess with things that maybe she's not supposed to mess with. And then in the end went back to Rose's house and had a talk with Eleanor and Rupert and basically said, look, I'll do this, but I want whatever I need in order to keep Adam safe and raise him properly if I'm going to be living here. You're on mute still.
Cool. Yeah, as a result of that, Adam has been provided a separate room. It's a large house, so it was no problem. And they have also suggested that if needs be, and you want to leave Adam there, that Hawkins, the butler, will be, constantly around and able to keep an eye. And, perhaps further discussions later if any sort of schooling or anything like that is required. But at least in the first instance, you've kind of been given it's fine, and there'll be somebody here to take care of him if you want to leave him here out of danger.
Excellent.
Cool. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Henry. Hey, Steve.
Hello.
What's Henry been up to?
So,
Solving more mysteries, I imagine.
well, yes, potentially. Well, initially, just recovering. Henry wasn't particularly, injured by the previous events, but was somewhat exhausted, I think, was the condition. Yes. So a certain amount of, sitting around, reading papers, just recuperating, maybe the odd glass of brandy here and there. And then, yes, traveling home to see his wife and daughter, and then after a few days there, coming back and starting maybe to use this place as a bit of a base of operations, because it's rather more convenient for contacts in the city, and newspaper, morgues, things like that for digging through for information. So yes, hopefully keeping his private investigation business running.
Cool. And finally, let's bring on Justin, who plays Gale Mosling Forcemark.
How's it going?
You have to have full name. Everybody else, I think, just got first name.
I
but
don't think
Gale gets
I don't
full
think-
title. Mr.
I don't
Gale
think we can
Mosling
get I
Forcemark.
don't think we can get Gale in if I have everything else. I was just going to be Mr. Moz, but apparently it's not long enough. So Mosling did need to recover somewhat. He was angry when he left his last adventure, so he went home, shouted at his children, realised that this wasn't going to work out, and so he needed to go somewhere he could relax. So he came back to the facility and did his writing and his correspondence from there, and then felt much more refreshed. Has he gone back home since? Probably not. Is he missed? Again, probably not. So I think that basically what will have been happening is Mosling will have worked on his book and then spent a lot of time bothering Bonneville, like as a form of procrastination from his writing. What are you working on there? Oh, I know that street. Funny
Very
thing
nice
about
street.
that. Things like that, basically. And obviously, given that it's in London, would have taken this opportunity to frequent the camera shop, get fresh plates, be a kind of Victorian hipster about it, and tour the streets of London, somehow not getting accosted by thieves and robbers due to some kind of charmed life that Mosling leads.
Nice. Yes, John?
I have an important question for Mosling. Did his kids ever get that knit medicine?
Of course. It was number one. It was, he has a strange way of caring, wanting to be distant, not wanting to be around his children, but he obviously cares. And so the knit medicine was, number one on the list.
And let me tell you, it worked a treat.
They
As
didn't
long
have
as you
knits
put- as long-
before,
as long as-
they had even fewer than 0 knits afterwards.
As long as the instructions were followed correctly, and if they weren't, then we'll discuss that.
I wouldn't have done it myself. I'd have left that to the housekeeper or the nanny or something. I'm not. What am I doing? Raising my children by hand? I'm not one of these modern, touchy-feely dads like Reese Mogg and Matt Milk.
Yeah.
That is the most horrifying insight into your character's home life. It's just awful.
He's not a bad person. He's just a product of his time. Whereas Reese Mogg is a product of our time and has no reason. Never mind.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
You've had a couple of weeks. I presume that everybody's kind of milling around sort of from time to time, even if not constantly, within Rose House. And Sir Rupert and Eleanor are also around. We've dealt with the conversation with B with them. Does anybody else particularly want to have any specific conversations with Sir Rupert and Eleanor? Don't feel obliged, but the opportunity is there. Okay.
Is there somewhere to develop pictures in the house? Because we didn't do that from last session, and I wonder whether.
Not in the house, no, but there will be somewhere nearby that you
That's
can
fine.
do that.
I'm sure there is like a society that I can join.
Yeah.
One of the gentlemen's clubs where I can do these kinds of things.
Is that group photo now like somewhere on a mantelpiece or like on the wall by the stairs or something somewhere in the house?
If Gail's developed it, then quite possibly.
Yeah, let's go for it.
There will be an area with other, probably not photographs, but perhaps yours is the first photograph of a group that goes on the wall, with the rest being sort of portraits or sketches.
With things to be entering into the library as well from our adventure case, our case files.
There is the question of if there are, drawings or representations of previous members. It would sort of eventually dawn on Henry that how many are there and where are they now, and does that have any, bearing on?
What's the turnover rate? Like,
Yes.
are there like 50 of them all from the last 12 months? Like,
I would say that based on the artistic styles and the clothing worn therein, it certainly doesn't look like. Yeah, it's not like a turnover of once a year or something. There's sort of a group that is, you would guess, 15 years before yours.
Okay.
Something like that. And it's quite possible, that they've just packed in and not, it doesn't necessarily
They might
have to
not
be
have
that
died.
something horrible has happened to them. Go on, Justin.
I took a photo of the red cap as we charged at it. If I show this photo to my children, can they see the red cap?
I thought you were going to say, will they have nightmares?
I don't care about that answer.
Well, did you take a photograph, or was it horrendously blurred?
Well, it would have been horrendously blurry, but I'm wondering, assuming my children are, don't have the sight, which is an assumption that I'm making, then I'm wondering, I'm starting with them, and I'm expanding the list of people I can show this photo to see who can see whether you can capture these creatures on film, because I can see it, or I don't know if I can see it, but tell me.
I'll tell you what, Justin. Make me a roll, and this is for how good the picture is.
The camera uses learning or boost learning or investigation, so I don't know. Maybe you want to go in that direction.
I would also add that you fiddled with it for 5 rounds after you took the photograph? Was it 5 rounds or 6?
Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah.
It's a very delicate piece of equipment, unlike you, Bonneville.
Why can I
A
not
blunt
find
tool,
Not
if ever I
delicate
saw one.
equipment. What's that? In Bruges, you're a fucking inanimate object.
Okay, let's go with. Yeah, let's go with investigation, I think. Probably the.
Right. Let's get some dice out. I think I took a talent recently. Was it about investigation? No. Never mind then. I have 4 dice from logic, and I have 2 dice from investigation, and together I roll 2 6s.
Okay. It is slightly blurred. However, Gale looking at it can make out that it is the red cap from from what he's actually seen in real life.
And Gale's children?
If you ask them what's in the image, they basically just say that it's blurry.
Fair enough.
And they can't tell what it is. So it's not clear to you whether if you sort of go, well, what about this area? Obviously, it's black and white, so it's not like they can say there's a red hat on it. So it's kind of, that you can't be sure whether or not they can. Yeah.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Well, you haven't done an observation test yet to see if they're telling the truth or if they're just lying to you. There's
I
This
never
whole-
assume malice in my children when I can assume ignorance and stupidity.
Wow.
Okay, so one day when you are all at Rose House, there is a knock at the door, and so Rupert and Eleanor, are out at the moment, and I don't know where in the house you would be, sort of mid-morning, maybe in your own rooms or the library or something of that ilk. But you hear the knock, and you hear Hawkins go and open the door, and you overhear some small conversation, and then the door closes, and you hear two sets of footsteps in the downstairs hall. And you then hear the two sets change to one step, and Hawkins, you presume, begins climbing the set of stairs to the first floor. Do you think would anybody be in the library? Okay.
Mhm.
So the library door opens, and Hawkins says, "Morning, sirs. A potential new client awaits downstairs."
Client? Oh yes, I forgot what we do here. I'll be down. I'll be down almost immediately. I'm just finishing off some things.
Mm.
Sorry to ask, have you any idea where the other two are?
I believe I saw Bonneville in the parlor earlier.
I'm right here, Mosley.
Oh yes, yes, I saw Bonneville right here. He's here. He's been here all along. I thought you were downstairs, but I thought you had that toast, that marmalade toast. Was that an hour ago? That was this morning. We'll be
You're so
down
observant.
shortly.
Very good. I shall search out the others. And he closes the door ahead of himself, stepping out backwards. Where are B and Constance?
Constance might be in the chapel that we've recently established.
Mm-hmm.
And B would be in the garden. I'm trying to remember from the description of last time. Is it part of it like a kitchen garden?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Then B will be maintaining that and maybe cultivating some of her usual medicinal herbs that she wants on hand.
Okay. Hawkins probably gets you first. Probably partly out of habit of the areas that he checks in an order, and obviously the chapel is newly sort of opened. He comes outside and says, "Morning. A potential client in the entry hall. I've spoken to Mr. Mosling Forsmark and Mr. Bonneville, and they shall be down momentarily."
Did they say what they wanted?
Something to do with a brother of theirs concerned.
All right. Thank you.
He heads off and makes his way to the chapel. Opens the door. Morning.
Oh, morning.
He's quite respectful, so if you look like you're praying, he probably actually stands for a moment and waits.
No, I think this is kind of probably just where she hangs out. She won't be praying like all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. She's maybe just reading or something in here.
Morning. Still slightly quieter than he's spoken to the others.
Morning.
A new potential client in the entry hall. The others have been made aware. They'll be there momentarily.
Right. Yes. She'll just get up and follow right out.
Cool. Yeah, he leads you down, and presumably everybody convenes around the same time.
Should we explain where Magnus is at this point?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yes, Hooks has taken slightly more than these 2 weeks to get some personal affairs in order. And
Not prison time, is it?
Basically, you are to leave word with Hawkins where you are going, and if Hooks is able to catch you up while you're gone, then he will do so. But yes, you get to the entrance to Rose House, and there is a quite frazzled-looking young man there, sort of quite smartly dressed, and sort of looks quite in a state of disarray, but you think probably works a desk as opposed to anything manual, and he's kind of wringing his hat in his hands as you come down to the entry hall. Morning.
Hello there. Shall we chat somewhere rather more comfortable?
Yeah, that'd be lovely. I mean, yeah.
And I will, I guess, look around to locate. I'm reasonably familiar with this place, but yes, I'll sort of pick a room. Maybe the one we
the parlor
met
room
in
that you
originally,
went to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. He follows you, and Hawkins kind of trails behind as well. And as you head in, Hawkins stops at the door. Says, "Any drinks, tea, perhaps?"
I think yes, please. I think tea might be appropriate at this point.
Very good, very good. He pulls the door closed and heads off. Sorry to intrude. I'm here on behalf of my brother. Very rude, very rude. My name's Edmund Sykes. And my brother James. He's not done quite so well as me. You know, I'm lucky. I get to work in an office. He's in the employ of this the house of a lady. Not a bad job, of course, but you know, I feel like I've drawn the better lot there. Anyway, he's concerned that his role may become untenable if the lady's reputation becomes tarnished. You see, she's kind of off with flights of fancy, which I believe is your remit. I'm kind of hoping that you can go there and, you know, show her that it's not whatever it is you claim to deal with, and then maybe she can crack on, and my brother's job will be safe. It's just had a young child, and you know, we worry about food on the table as everybody does. So,
what street is this house on?
Oh, they're in Bodmin.
Ah,
If the lady requires some medical assistance, that I can make some introductions to the hospitals that I've been involved with. But if she's experiencing things if she's had some upset, maybe perhaps after the child, it's not uncommon.
Oh no! Sorry, I'm sorry. I've been unclear there. The lady of the house is not the mother of the child. My brother and his wife have had a child. He works in a big house, like this one, I suppose. So yes, a lady Spence, I believe.
Well, nonetheless, if you think that there's something that is distressing her that ought not to be, this is not a medical issue.
Oh no, she. From my understanding, Miss, she's not distressed at all. In fact, she seems to be thrilled and excited by the things that she thinks are occurring. But
excitement can be an indicator of some sort of medical distress as well.
Of course, yes. But she seems to be having the time of her life, from what my brother describes. But of course, in high society, a lady running around claiming that she's figuring out things with mythical beings.
indeed. It's scandalous enough that she lives alone. We should make sure that we investigate to make sure this whole situation is resolved, and hopefully we can find a way of hushing the whole thing up if she is indeed completely stark raving mad.
That would be ideal.
How are you so sure that she's not really seeing whatever it is she's seeing?
You having a laugh? Of course she ain't.
Well, let's start with what she claims to have seen. I hope you at least can tell us that.
Well, there's been a couple of things that my brother's told me about, but at the moment, from my understanding, there's been some drunk chap who's gone missing, and she seems to think it's something supernatural and not just a drunk chap wandering off, getting stuck in a bog or something.
Of which there are quite a few around Bodmin.
Quite.
Anything else?
Well, there's things that she says that she's dealt with before, but like things like like a black dog, but it's probably just a black dog, ain't it? So I don't really understand. She reckons it's something else. This is what I mean. It's all things that are explainable, and she jumps on them, says that there's something that they probably ain't, and well,
as you said, Edmund, we deal with these things. These flights of fancy. Quite that's our remit, really. So you came to the right place, and black dogs, drunks going missing. I think we'll have the whole thing sorted incredibly quickly.
that'd be ideal.
Not to disagree with my esteemed colleague here. You say there are flights of fancy, so you've come to people who deal with flights of fancy. If all of this is just eccentricities of a silly lady, then I'm not quite sure. Have you ever tried arguing with somebody who believes something that isn't real is real? That is either the work of medical practice and she needs locked up, or perhaps something is real and you are unwilling to see what she can see. There are deeper truths in this world. I'm not saying black dogs are particularly special, but I am a little confused as to how did you even hear about this place?
It was well, I think my brother's been here before when he was in London still. 15 years ago, maybe. He's older than me, you see. I'm sure he was concerned about something and came to ask some questions. Anyway, he said that I should come here, and so I'm just passing on the message. My personal opinion does not hinder me from doing as my brother asks.
Very well.
Well, we can pay a visit, I suppose. It would be at least worth a trip.
Does the lady take visitors? Would it be completely unexpected for us to? What is her situation?
I reckon, miss, that if you let her know what it is that you do, that she'll be overjoyed at a visit from you. Kindred spirits, I suppose.
Yes.
Spirits. I don't think those are involved.
I think Hawkins will be along with tea soon, Mr. Mosling force mark, but spirits maybe a little early in the day.
At that, Hawkins does actually open the door and bring in some tea. And makes you it all exactly how you all like it, because you've been there for 2 weeks now and he's very good.
But still slow.
Yeah.
It's waiting for the ideal moment. That's
Yeah, you didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
yeah.
As if we'd notice him being there at all.
We're an unruly mob this evening, dear, oh dear.
Jonny, do we have we? I'm like, this will be our first client. Like, we're not used to this. Like, I mean, presumably, would we have any? I guess we didn't talk about this, so maybe just no, because we didn't do it in the kind of what's been happening the last 2 weeks. But would we have any understanding from Ellen and Rupert about things like how they take on new clients? Like, is there some sort of qualification? Like, would we turn away certain people? Is there supposed
Rates, billable hours.
Yeah, that's what I was
Do we
saying.
invoice
Structure,
them?
financing.
So the society basically receives charitable donations. So some people who have things solved for them will give some money. And then there are also, other people who also fund the work of the society.
Dark, shadowy people who have no ulterior motives.
So you're never going to turn away somebody because they can't pay you, because that's not in the ethos of the society at all.
Yeah. It's more about whether we would know much about that, and if not, then we'll maybe just say something to Hawkins and to tell him to make it work, to sort it out.
You will have had those conversations, because they're in and out, and as soon as it became clear that you were definitely, because that was kind of vaguely in question at the end of the previous thing as to whether you were actually going to join the society. Definitely, as soon as everybody was like on board, you would have had a conversation that was basically to that effect. And it's essentially left up to whoever is there at the time to decide if something has merit, but you get the feeling that you don't tend to turn people away. Like, if there's any inkling that there may be something.
Well, making contact with somebody who sounds like they believe could be useful anyway, in terms of making connections, and if they're well to do, then perhaps that would be beneficial anyway.
Yeah. Oh, lovely, lovely cup of this.
Right, is there any other information that you think we should know, even if you think it is quite mad?
I'll give you my brother's name, James.
How long has
Lady
this been going on?
Spence.
Sorry, is this a recent turn of events for the lady? Does she ascribe it to anything in particular?
From my understanding, my brother's been there for a few years now, and there's always been, books of fairy tales on her shelves, things like that. And she spent a lot of time wandering out in the countryside and on her own. And who knows what she was doing, seeing what she thought was going on out there. But it definitely seems like recently she's not, over time, it's kind of become more, she's been more comfortable admitting to these things and just being out and out, wandering around, shouting about, where the black dog is and all that kind of thing.
James and you must have a very regular correspondence for you to know so many details of it.
We have a reasonable correspondence. Yes, it's I receive a letter, I write one back, and it's
a
quite,
very, very
quite
admirable.
close. Quite close as brothers.
How old is the lady?
I would say, I wouldn't like to ask her age, but I would say she's probably less than 40, certainly.
And lives alone.
Yes.
Wow.
Widowed?
No. Parents died and left her the house, so.
Do you say James came to this place 15 years ago?
Yes, yeah. He's as soon as not long after he became old enough to work, he went off.
Oh, the lady's house. I thought you said that.
Oh, sorry. Yes, he came here. Yes.
And what was that regarding? Can you remember?
He thought he'd seen something in the Thames, I believe, and it was around the time that there was a couple of people went missing. I think he got in his head that it was related.
Can't imagine anything living in that water.
Well, Mr. Bonneville, is there anything else with your investigatory experience that we ought to know?
Wow. Usually in my line of work, there's an obvious crime that's been committed. Here, not so much, but we can at least, if the lady is willing, visit the place and talk to her. I am, as you are aware, a little concerned about dogs on the loose.
I think at the very least, even if she's not willing to have us, we can stay somewhere nearby and at least investigate these rumours of missing drunks and dogs on the loose. Maybe we can do a public good and reunite a lost dog with its owner.
Edmund, continuing to slurp his tea in the background, keeps commenting on how much better it is than the tea in his office.
And even if there aren't any things out of sorts there, fortunately the Roman roads didn't stretch quite that far, but I think recently there have been some wonderful additions to the road network in that part of the land, and I don't think the whole trip will be a waste. I think it'll be quite profitable. I can get a chapter or two out of this.
Good for you.
There's a slight resigned sigh from Henry's direction, I think. Trying to be polite, but one escapes. It's been a long 2 weeks.
All right.
Right. Well, if you don't have anything else to ask, I'd better get back. Puts his hat on. Pleasure to meet you all, and he pulls out a scrap of paper which has the address on of the house. Yeah, sorry, I almost forgot. That's where you need to go. I'm just I work at Chapman's on Fleet Street. So if you need to get me in the daytime, that's where I'll be.
Sorry, what line of work are you in? Might I ask?
I'm a legal clerk, sir.
Very good.
If you ever need any documents drawing up, then please let me know, and I'm sure we can come to an arrangement.
We'll keep you in mind. Thank you.
He heads out.
What a strange man.
Indeed. I don't think the tea here is much nicer than anything. Hawkins is awful.
Well,
hopefully Hawkins is still in the room.
I was going to ask.
Moslin wouldn't know if he was. You wouldn't have any idea.
Well, I think I will go off to see whether there are any records of previous case files, just to see if I can see, well, two things, I guess. See whether this James Sykes did turn up to report, bodies in the Thames 15 years ago, whenever it was, and also maybe to see if there are any books in the library. I can't speak. Any books in the library that might sort of give some information on Lady Spence, on sort of background or heritage or that sort of thing, if those are available.
Okay.
Maybe newspapers, things like that.
Lovely. Give me a roll, Steve, please, on... I suppose it's learning, isn't it, when it's book stuff, I think.
Book stuff, indeed. Let's have a look here.
Do we have a list of the functions of the house anywhere?
I'm not sure.
The functions of the house currently are the chapel and the library, essentially.
Okay. Isn't there a gun room or something as well?
I think we have
Yes,
an armory at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt what you're doing, Steve, but...
I'll just
It's okay. Steve, do your roll, and I will just grab out quickly the bits from Rose House.
That was 7 dice with no successes.
Oh.
Amazing.
That's Free League.
Well, maybe you have not had many successes because Constance has followed you around and has started asking you about black dogs, given that you...
Let's think more about this thing that terrifies you. Let's talk about it all the time.
Okay, here are the headquarters things. A small armory resides in a side room off the library. The furniture in the lounge can be pushed back to allow room for practicing. Hawkins does not allow firearms to be discharged indoors, but there is a clear space of about 20 yards in the cellars where a straw target can be set up for shooting practice. There is no formal infirmary, but Hawkins keeps the house stocked with basic medical supplies and can turn any of the guest bedrooms into a sick room or makeshift hospital ward in a matter of minutes. The library includes a small museum of objects from previous investigations. It also includes a selection of maps, principally covering Britain, Ireland, and the Empire, as well as a collection of current rail and ferry timetables. And then other rooms are the chapel, essentially.
Constance would like to have a little look for anything to do with black dogs and fairies. Probably in the library, but also from just asking Henry about, if there's anything sus about to do with dogs or similar sorts of creatures, given what the little we know of him so far.
Okay. Do you want to give me a learning roll as well and if you want to play out a conversation with Henry?
So, black dogs, Mr. Bonneville.
Honestly, I'd almost put them out of my mind after I learnt that the thing I saw at the train station last time was Rupert Merriweather. Yes, I must just have been being silly and nervous and highly strung.
I'm sorry. I'm not really talking about there's something following you, or it's just that you said that you had some sort of encounter, and I thought there might be some other information you knew. If the lady's excited about all this, presumably she's not been attacked by something, but perhaps it's only a matter of time before something similar happens to her that happened to you.
True. I did find. I did read a reference last time that we could perhaps follow up on. Because yes, Jonny, I did a roll last time, saw something about black dogs. So can I find that reference again? Is that doable?
Yes, I think that's fine. Yeah. Do you think you'd have made a mental note? If you think you would, then I'm fine with
yes.
that. Yeah. Was it from a previous investigation? Was that what
it was? Yes, it was from the chest of books that
that Rupert
Merriweather.
sent?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it mentions in there a previous investigation into reported sightings of a larger than dog size black dog, which would the people who had reported it believed that it was bringing misfortune. However, when the society investigated, the two instances, one of which involved members of the society, that occurred, they assessed that actually it was assisting to prevent the misfortunes and trying to keep people safe on the road. So while it was easy enough for somebody to go, oh, the black dog was there and this bad thing happened, actually it was sort of a bias the wrong way.
Oh, okay, the black dog's just catching the blame through
being there, when actually it seems to have been trying to be helpful. No notes on what the origins, what causes a black dog or what caused it to be there or anything like that kind of thing.
Well, I will relay this, that yes, black dogs might not be harbingers of doom to Constance, and it still doesn't quite explain why Lady Spence might be so thrilled to see one, if that's what she did. But
if she's thrilled to be seeing these sorts of creatures, then she obviously doesn't really know what they're capable of. She's obviously ignorant of their true malice and purpose, but nonetheless, she'll at least be presumably somewhat amenable to our investigations, which is helpful. And Jonny, I got a 1 success on the learning roll, which happy for that to be the recall of Bonneville's info, but she's also looking up some stuff on fairies and black dogs, was what she was after.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll stick with that black dog info for that. Yeah. Gail and B, is there anything that you want to look up or do?
I would like to look up the maps. I want to know I'm interested in them in and of their own sake, but it probably would be also useful knowing the layout of the moor and geographical features and things like that. Maybe take a few of those kinds of maps with me if we have anything like that. And of course, the history of the house, if the house has a history.
Okay. Sure. Give me a learning roll.
That's another 2 successes.
Cool. Yeah, so you managed to find a nice map of the area. Bodmin is a small town, and you get basically a map of the township, including the sort of surrounding villages, of which the house is in one of the smaller villages, actually, that kind of backs onto Bodmin Moor. So you've got that information and that kind of layout.
Cool.
So I'm happy for that to give you an advantage on something layout related later down the line.
And for a non-advantage clue, is there anything weird about the house? Has it got a history of ghost sightings?
It hasn't actually.
There's no real stuff about it.
No, I mean, I'm happy that you found, maybe like a sort of a deed, land registry kind of information. But there's no, sort of newspaper articles or anything like that, particularly about the house or.
That's fine.
Area.
That suits me just great.
Cool. John?
I think I'm going to set up one of the straw dummies in the basement. Maybe like a. No, yeah. Yes. One of the straw dummies in the basement. I might see about seeing if I can get like increasingly small sizes of targets. Because when someone says a black dog, like it could either be a really big creature or it could just be a dog size. So I think I'll have like a full human sized shooting target and then also like a half size
down to like Shih Tzu kind of.
Yeah. In case I come across black and silver snub nose Shih Tzu.
And put like 4 into it.
Yep.
Wow.
Sherlock Holmes throwback. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy for you to have some target practice. It's fine.
Excellent.
Okay, so I would say it's up to you whether you want to set off that day. I guess by the time you've prepped, you'd be early afternoon. You may want to stay overnight in London and just go tomorrow. I think you could probably travel there in the day tomorrow if you set off early on the train. I'm sure that may be preferable for you.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing awful will happen overnight.
Not in Rose House, Steve.
Oh, not to us. No, just we get there. It's a smoking crater. Well, yeah.
I would also probably suggest to someone more posh than me that maybe we should. Do we want to call ahead and contact Lady Spence and approach her, or
Perhaps
are we just going to be in the area?
Perhaps, I don't know, sending a telegram, sort of, under the name of the organisation. I mean, presumably, if she is truly interested in what we do, she will have heard of us, and at least our name might open doors.
Yep.
Yeah, she's got a member of staff who's seen us before, so.
I will write the letter.
Right.
I am a writer.
Yes.
Just a telegram.
I will write the letter. And,
Can I sneak a look at it before it gets sent?
You're welcome to.
Constance will pull Bonneville aside and say, "We should send a telegram while Mosling writes his letter. May arrive after we do."
If we're leaving tomorrow morning, I'll send it on the evening train. It'll get there tonight or tomorrow morning before we arrive.
Well, I don't know about you, but in this day and age, today I finally got through prototypes, which I haven't had through for like 3 weeks because of all of the strikes. So maybe it was better back in 18.
Well,
I imagine there were less. There wasn't a online shopping distribution, so things probably arrived a bit faster.
Perhaps, yeah.
Cool. Does anybody want to do anything else prep wise before the morrow?
I just say that we also could buy equipment if anyone wants to buy equipment for this mission, which could include all kinds of things.
There's a resource roll, isn't there, for that?
Well, some of us have enough resources to buy things if we want to.
Can we lose you on the mall?
Do you have? It's not a profitable business, this PI lark, is it? Have you got any clients yet?
Some of us look after our families.
I think the boarding schools that I send the older children to are perfectly adequate for doing that.
Tired. Hawkins comes in to tell you to go down to the cellar if you're going to start something like that. Constance will genuinely bless some water to create some holy water, if that's possible, because she does have blessing as a talent.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just love how everything is going to get doused in holy water this arc. It's clearly going to happen
every night. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last mystery proved Constance is always right based on that one example. Yeah, undeniably so.
I'm just
anything we can help with there.
I'm just trying to. I can't remember what the chapel's thing is.
It allows you to push recovery rolls for all recovery rolls for mental recovery.
That was it.
And PCs can bring holy water with them, which is what.
Yeah. Grand.
I'm gonna buy a halberd. Not gonna buy a halberd.
You could have probably stolen the pole arm from the red cap if you wanted some kind of. I'm sure nothing bad would have happened.
I'm gonna buy a musket. No, I'm not. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not gonna buy any weapons.
I know someone who's away with the fairies.
Fairies? Who mentioned fairies? Right. Mosling's all ready to go.
Okay.
Yep. B has no other preparations, and I think she is gonna pack Adam's things up as well, and take him out because it currently seems not too threatening, and having a small child might win over this lady person.
Yeah, valid idea.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think presumably you have a conversation with Hawkins that you're not going to be leaving Adam. And I think he kind of, Hawkins always is, standing up straight. And I think he probably sort of deflates a very small amount. He does quite enjoy having Adam around. I think you've probably picked up that the house has probably been quite quiet for a little while, until you as a group came along. You don't know exactly how long it's been sort of just Rupert and Eleanor bobbing in and out, but he's probably quite happy of the company, and especially at the thought of somebody being around even when you're not. So he does kind of droop a little, but he's fine.
Now I feel bad.
I know. A servant that doesn't carry himself in an upright fashion. Disappointing.
Cool. So everybody to bed?
Yep.
And then up in the morning, You're into November now. It's a bright, chilly morning when you step outside and head to the train station. You've got the train timetables at Rose House. So you'd figured out your travel plans. You're essentially going to Exeter and then probably carriaging from there. But you can get to Exeter in a few hours. Train journey, fine. Off without a hitch. Good weather, so relative comfort. And then you do not have a chartered carriage on this occasion, obviously, because it's not been pre-planned as it was with the previous mystery. So you have to probably fight a little when you get to Exeter to get somebody to take you. And are you going to try and get somebody to take you all the way to Exeter, or are you going to potentially do jumps? What sort of strategy are you going for when asking a carriage runner to?
Mosling is clearly the travel
jumps.
expert, so
I think jumps. A short break between stops, taking the sights, write a few pages.
Okay, no, that's not great.
I need material. Well, if no one's disagreeing, then Mosling will arrange for this thing. Though he might be pressured, if time is of the essence, to persuade someone to try and take us there all the way.
We could always get a separate carriage.
It's a great idea.
Constance would be more accustomed to just getting in her carriage and letting it take her to where she needs to go, rather than all of this jumping around. But she's not going to press too far.
Perhaps on the return journey, Mosling. Perhaps when we have.
You make a good point, Bonneville. You make a good point. This stray dog might escape the moors, and we will never be able to return it to its owner. I am happy to try to make an inspiration roll to inspire our driver to our need is serious, that there is a young woman's mental health at stake, and if we don't get there soon, she could be condemned to an asylum, or perhaps that she won't be condemned to an asylum and she'll hurt someone, and we should get there sooner so we can condemn her to it. Whatever one I think will work best with this cabbie, because he is a cabbie at the end of the day. No offense to cabbies in the audience. Some of them have odd views.
What, Victorian?
Yeah, those Victorian carriage drivers are full of
Very
strange
Look,
opinions.
I'm just saying, your profession is talking to like a random assortment of people all day. Like I'm saying,
Constance is just going to quietly be trying to look respectable and religious, like shuffle things to be like more crosses on show somehow.
Okay. If you're trying to get a direct route there, you probably get a couple of people basically wave you away as they get somebody who comes to them and wants to go, 10 minutes down the road. But then as you appeal to somebody's better nature, this guy eventually sort of with a invites you aboard.
Sure. Yeah, go for it. And I'll even help load the carriage. That's how seriously I'm taking this.
That's very serious.
We better stop
Cool.
twice as often on the way back, Henry.
You embark. The car is able to go with a reasonable pace thanks to the fine weather, and it's been pretty dry the last few days, so everything's you're not sloshing through mud. It still takes a few hours, and the sun is dipping as you arrive at the village of. You pass through. You kind of see the town of Bodmin ahead of you, and you stop in the village of Fletcher's Bridge, which is, well, it's more of a small hamlet, really, which there is basically this house is kind of the focal point of this area. It's almost like its estate. So there are a few small cottages around, but it's essentially the estate of this house. And so you sent word ahead, didn't you, that you were going to be coming? So as you pull up to the gates of this home, there is somebody there who sort of opens the gates and leads the carriage around. Quite a finely dressed young man. Do you want to make me rolls? Maybe. Let's do an observation. Maybe. Yeah.
No successes from B.
It's not an important roll.
2 successes.
2
One.
successes and 1 on the floor.
Okay. Everybody apart from B spots a family resemblance with this man before you get out of the carriage. So the carriage wheels around and you pull to a stop, and he opens the door of the carriage. The carriage driver just stays sat up since somebody else is dealing with the doors. Saves him climbing down, and he says, "Good afternoon. Please, let me get your bags."
Mr. Sykes, I presume?
Yes, yeah. Of course, you met my brother. Yes.
Indeed.
Right, he's sort of piling up whatever luggage you have on himself. He says, "Right, please, this way." And then he kind of stops and almost like topples over all the stuff that he's carrying, and then kind of awkwardly reaches around to a pocket and pulls out a coin, and then kind of awkwardly lifts it up to the carriage driver, and then sort of acquaints himself with the luggage, and sets off again ahead of you. There are sort of lamps in this area. The sun is very low now. You've probably got 15 minutes until proper sunset. He leads you towards the door of this rather grand house. He's left the door slightly ajar when you get there, so he sort of nudges it open. And then as he gets in, he sets down the luggage and almost topples, and he keeps in a pile.
Is the lady of the house in?
She's just out in the town at the moment. I don't imagine she'll be out too much longer. She's making some inquiries, as she does. So yes, tea or something stronger. Sandwich, maybe.
Yes, tea and a strong sandwich.
Yes.
Maybe
Very good, sir.
tea and a talk with yourself.
Yes,
Right,
before
you
the
are.
lady gets back.
after we have the
Please,
opportunity.
he gestures to the right, and you see like a sitting room. I'll be back momentarily.
Thank you.
So I presume, do you go into this room? You're not sort of mooching around. It's relatively similar to the room that you know from Rose House. You know, nice, comfortable seats, a couple of sort of decanters of some drink on the table, some bookshelves with books on. They're not just empty bookshelves. A window that allows you to see out into the grounds, which is a very nice view. And the sunset is out in that direction as well. So you've got a lovely little bit of, late afternoon winter sun coming through the window. And he returns 5 minutes later with some tea. Right, there you are. Yes, thank you very much for coming. I don't know exactly what my brother has told you.
Why don't you tell us in your own words?
Yes, of course. Lady Spence has an interest in the supernatural, which seems to have grown into somewhat of an obsession. And well, I'm sure that my brother told you, or you may know already, that I thought that I saw something a few years back, and I don't know if I did or I didn't, but I'm certainly more sympathetic to that way of thinking than a lot of people might be. My concern is that the good lady's name is dragged through the mud as a result of people's opinion of her deteriorating, especially if she can't prove any of the things that she's saying, and people just see a woman in her 30s, single, living alone in a big house and running around claiming that she's seeing fairies or whatnot.
Your brother told us you had just had a young child.
Yes, yeah.
Congratulations! It
Thank
truly
you.
is a blessing. Boswick says that with like no emotion attached to the statement.
Yes, quite. A blessing, and also, an extra worry.
Indeed, yes. I find it better to avoid worrying about them at all. Everything will be fine. Everything was always fine in the end. At least I'm informed as such. So, does your wife live on the property?
No, she's in one of the cottages. Well, we live in one of the cottages, so
I see.
I work here until I'm no longer needed, and then I go see my wife. And
does anyone reside in the property with Lady Spence?
Yes, the mistress of the house. She's here. Sometimes people, if I've stayed here before, if things get on late, and not with the child now, of course, but
But she has
sometimes
no other staff who live here.
not that live here. No.
May I ask, what is it that you believe we are here to do?
My hope is that there isn't anything going on, and perhaps you can
Find a simple explanation.
convince the lady of that. On the other hand, if there is something going on, I'm not closed-minded to that potential outcome. Then, either you can deal with it and the lady doesn't have to anymore, or maybe if you can get some kind of proof or convince people that it is true, then she won't be mocked, I suppose.
And you've seen nothing unusual yourself recently? Just to confirm.
I haven't, no. But I haven't been out with the lady, so.
Your brother said something about a man going missing.
Yeah, Dan. From the town, is well-known drunk. He's got a pony. It's called Stallion. Funny bloke. Basically comes out of the pub every night, hops on Stallion. Stallion knows the way home.
A Stallion's not missing.
Stallion is missing. Dan was in the pub, left the pub, presumably hopped on Stallion. As far as anybody knows, nobody's seen him since.
And how long ago was that?
Must be a week now. His wife, Jane, she's past it. She's don't know what to do with herself.
Would you or someone be able to take us out and show us the path Stallion should have taken?
Yeah, I reckon when the lady gets back, I mean, she might want to do it herself, but I'm happy to do it if she's tired.
Good. Has it rained since he's gone missing?
Yeah, it will have done.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Still worth seeing if there's any kind of a trail.
And you said the lady has, obsessed with the supernatural, off with the fairies, is what your brother said. What specifics is it that she is excitable about from your perspective?
Oh, any of it. I mean, look at the bookshelves. Basically just full of like myths and folklore books.
So it's a general interest that she has. She's just becoming more obsessed in her general interest. She's not claiming that there is a creature living in the house with her or something like that.
No, not in the house, but she reckons that she's dealt with a couple of things recently.
What are those things?
Something about a black dog on the road. And then this, she reckons, is some kind of enchantment, something.
Is the lady a churchgoer?
Used to be. I think she stopped in recent years.
Long distance to the church, is it?
You pass the church at the edge of the village on your way in. No, she's well, like I say, this seems to have become a bit of an obsession
she's
for her.
not going to be offended by the presence of Sister Kirk, Sister Constance.
No, of course not. No, she doesn't begrudge anybody their own beliefs.
What do you believe is actually happening then? You've said what you hope might be true. What do you think is true?
I truly don't know. Like I said, I feel like I've seen something. So, not recently, but I mean, none of these things have occurred in and around the house. So I wouldn't have seen if they are real, but I do feel like I've seen something in the past, so I can't be closed off to it. I don't have any reason, other than this, to think that there's anything wrong with the lady. So it's difficult to say that I don't think that she's correct.
You say that you hope that one of the outcomes might be, if this is true, perhaps there being some sort of proof, so she stops being mocked. Who is it that is mocking the lady at the moment?
There's talk in the town. It's difficult, isn't it, when like people will think somebody's done it, or that Dan is just missing. And if somebody's coming around saying other stuff that you don't think makes any sense, it's probably, maybe Jane's upset by the whole thing. Does
anybody else believe the lady, that there is something supernatural going on?
Honestly, couldn't tell you. There may be people around that do. Maybe Lady Spence could tell you if she's got any people that she confides in other than me.
Not typically a superstitious town, then.
No.
Has the lady any enemies, perhaps rejected suitors, or people who she's disgruntled in some business dealings that might want to release a black dog every now and then and make it look like she's losing her marbles?
She's got plenty of rejected suitors, but I don't know if anybody... I mean, I'm not sure anybody would think of that to begin with, They'd need to be aware beforehand that she would want to go looking into that. So...
The term gaslighting isn't in anyone's dictionary yet, so I can't allude to it. But Mosling, it's not beyond belief that somebody would want to induce confusion or manufacture these feelings of confusion, and that you get in cases where women do legitimately go insane, as we all know happens all the time. And they might do so by harassing her, by releasing a dog, and I think that's probably the most likely explanation. And I think we should look into that. If you've seen the dog, others may have seen it too, and perhaps we can find someone somewhere who's got that black dog.
I suppose it's possible, yeah. You hear the front door go. And a quite tall, striking woman with a long, flowing dress and hat comes in, sort of leaning a parasol over her shoulder. Ah, the Apollonian Society, I presume. Good evening. I am Lady Esmeralda Spence. Please, you may call me Esme.
Evening, ma'am.
Very, very excited to have you here. Very excited indeed.
That is the usual reaction.
I presume James has been taking good care of you.
Impeccable.
Excellent.
Really strong sandwiches.
Very good. Yes. Did you use the ham hock, James? Oh, he's joking. Okay.
Extra mature cheddar.
Good. I'll take a seat. And she sits. Right. Well, there's plenty to tell you and to be getting on with. Have you been? You must stay here. You must.
Very generous.
Let me show you to some rooms. James, have you prepared rooms? Yes, ma'am. Of course I have. Good. Come. She stands. She sat 5 seconds
We'll
earlier.
maybe do some introductions as we walk,
Yes,
as we're
yeah,
getting swept
yeah.
up in the whole thing.
So the entry hall here is similar to the Rose House one. It's straight upstairs, essentially, from the front door. And then it kind of banks round to either side to corridors going down into other rooms. So you are taken into the west wing, and kind of one corridor, and she points to the four rooms that are there. Says, here you are. There is an additional room on the end for if your companion makes it here. The young man, is he okay in with you?
Oh, yeah, he'll stay with me.
Good. Very important that a parent spends time with their child, isn't it, James? All will be fine here. Off you go. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Cast a knowing look at Mosling at that point.
I spent time with my children while on downtime. A whole day. A whole day.
And
Constance
they hated every
vaguely-
moment of it.
Constance looks vaguely disapproving at this, being told to get off work early to go spend time with children too, just quietly in the background. But yeah.
How do you occupy all of your time alone, Lady Spence? You must get very, very. You must have fits of energy here with no one to talk to and no one to interact with. What did you do to occupy your time?
Lonely is the word you were looking for, I believe.
I've never felt like lonely. Like Mosling's never been lonely in his life, but he gets his fits of energy.
Well, how would a man occupy their time?
Walking,
very much the same.
Looking at the roads, bridges, railways, trains, to name a few things.
And why should I not do the same just because of the body I've been born into? Come. She takes you back downstairs. And back into the sitting room, and she picks up a decanter and puts out some glasses. Anyone?
Yes, please. It's been a long day.
She pours drinks for whoever wants them. And there's another decanter there. She says, a juice for the young man, perhaps?
Please.
Pours him an orange juice. There you are.
Mosling's going to get out, a stack of papers and a pen and take notes of anything, in a kind of journalistic fashion that hopefully will encourage, to show that we're taking it seriously.
Jolly good. So I presume that both James and his brother have praised you of the situation somewhat. I imagine Edmund has probably made out that I'm quite mad, and that everybody is aware of the fact. And I imagine that James has attempted to half-heartedly defend my honor.
Absolutely.
Am I somewhere around the mark?
I'd give your lad a bit more credit than half-hearted, but that's about the gist of it.
Good.
This dog. Can we start there? Any description of the dog? Big, small?
Oh, very large. I'm
Very
led
large
to
dog.
believe. Yes,
You're led to believe you haven't actually seen this yourself.
I have, but from afar, and I believe it had perhaps completed its work by then.
What work might that be, and who else has seen it?
Travellers along a particular stretch of road. The dog was either the creator of, benefactor of, or attempted assistant of misfortune that came to people along that road. There is no hard and fast way to say in which direction that is.
And which road was this? Sorry.
The road between here and Bodmin.
And sorry, how many times has this dog appeared? Is it more than once? Is it
More than once? Yes. Once I had become aware of it by one person's report, there were 2 others from then, and then, as I say, I believe I may have seen it while out searching. Whether or not it was showing itself to me on purpose, I can't be sure. But there have been no reported sightings since.
And what are these misfortunes you mentioned?
There was one instance of, well, a highwayman, would you believe it or not? Which the people in the carriage had seen the black dog moments before. However, then the people in the carriage did put up a little bit of a fight with the highwayman, and he attempted to shoot the poor fellow, and well, his gun backfired. So you can see it's easy for somebody to say that the black dog brought the misfortune upon them, but did he perhaps bring the misfortune upon the attacker? Or both? Is his mere presence around people a misfortune upon them? There was also an instance of a wheel coming from a carriage and the carriage toppling, but nobody was harmed. Not so much as a cut or bruise following the sight of a black dog.
I must say, these both sound like very lucky misfortunes.
Quite.
They also
That's
sound
how I
very
view them.
not supernatural. Highwaymen exist. Wheels fall off carts.
Very true, but a strange coincidence that a black dog was seen before both of them, and both of them, the people who may have been injured, came off unharmed. That's how I view the situation.
We are believers. Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody else here, but we've certainly encountered the supernatural ourselves. Certainly on my part, there's no need to convince me that these demons exist. That doesn't necessarily mean that any wheel falling off a cart feels unnatural to me. I would be much more interested if there was something you'd really directly seen and hearing about your experiences there.
But the wagon toppling and nobody being harmed doesn't seem strange to you?
I think perhaps what Sister Constance is saying is that hopefully at the bottom of this we can find a very normal explanation, and then if we're able to find that, that can put the whole thing to bed. Perhaps...
No, not at all. We've been here. We're here to find some other. If that is our purpose.
If indeed there is, and if there isn't, then hopefully.
I don't believe we've been sent here if there weren't something to find. I'm just not sure a wagon, is it?
What about this Dan? The man that went missing on the horse.
Yes. Terribly sad state of affairs. Local drunk lad. He jumps on his small horse every night after having a skin full. Gets carried home to his lady wife. One night he did not get carried home to his lady wife. No sign of him or Stallion since. It's all we have to go on at the moment, I suppose.
And have people traced the route between the two locations?
Yes, he's only a couple of streets away.
And
Were
so
it not
the
for the
road,
fact that sometimes he literally has to be placed on the horse, I'm sure he would walk to the bar.
and his way home doesn't go along this road to Bodmin.
It does not, no.
Yes, yeah. See, missing persons. This is much more suspicious. I think there's something to go down here. But you have a general interest, anyway, Lady Esme, in the supernatural. What sparked your interest initially?
Oh, childish fairy tales, I suppose, and then continued reading those stories throughout my life. And as I've ventured into the outside world and witnessed the magic of nature, I thought, well, perhaps there is more. Perhaps these fairy tales are based on something. And then as I've seen, a small number of things, I began to wonder if maybe there's a bit of another world living alongside ours.
And James tells us that you have lost your faith somewhere along the way.
I wouldn't say that as such. I've no reason to believe that these things cannot sit alongside a Christian god. Are they any stranger than an octopus? Perhaps not. However, I do find the rigid nature of a church service and all this kind of thing a bit foisty for me.
Faith is not entertainment.
I'm not suggesting that it should be entertaining, but I find that my ability to enjoy my faith, which surely is what God would want. We're not put here for some form of enjoyment. I find that much easier on a long walk in the woods or on the moor than in a stone building with people who perhaps shouldn't be as judgmental as they are.
Could it possibly be, Lady Esme, that you don't like being told what to think?
She smirks a little. Well, perhaps a little.
This is all going to kick off. This is going to be...
B gives a little nod and the vaguest hint of a smile.
Constance is probably pulling the exact same face that Esme has seen in the church and has deliberately walked away from.
Oh, amazing. I must warn you, Lady Spence, that well, my two experiences with this other world of which you speak have been rather more direct and physical and painful in nature. So I would temper your enthusiasm perhaps with a knowledge that not everything out there is as kindly as perhaps you think this black dog is. If that's indeed.
Oh, of course. as I say, I believe that perhaps Dan's disappearance is due to one of these creatures. So obviously, I'm not going into this believing that all is well and good, but the same can be said about animals or humans. So I judge what I see.
Whether this dog is natural or supernatural, there's always the chance that maybe it has been brought to inflict some kind of some stigma upon you through being associated with it or talking about it or whatever. Is there anyone that you think of that wishes you ill, you may have interacted with recently, who, or maybe on an anniversary of this date, anything like that you can think of someone who?
Perhaps everybody in the church and the 100 unworthy men who came to my door.
It's a few
The church
people.
would not bring demons upon. I think you're much more likely to be looking at somebody who. Are there any other believers? Not of faith, of course, of these creatures, who may have an interest in bringing them into this world and encountering their powers, their mysteries.
Nobody in the town that I have spoken to has admitted to as much. However, perhaps they have seen the way that I am looked upon and thought better of it. You may find in your investigations that some quiet prying may reveal somebody's true beliefs.
And these black dog sightings, did they happen before, or were they just after Dan's disappearance?
No, those were probably around 9 months ago, 10 months ago, a year, perhaps.
Good heavens.
And then this stopped happening. This black dog seems to be disappeared.
Yes. As I say, I wonder if perhaps its work was considered done, and why I saw it last before it left, I'm not sure. But...
Well, Mr. Bonneville, you said normally there's some sort of crime before you begin investigating. There is now a missing man, unfortunately. And that certainly is a much more recent thing. Maybe not so much about yourself, lady, but anybody else, any other goings on in the town, that any other disagreements amongst the town, or people who have some sort of grudge to bear, who, as I say, may have interest in calling on powers that they perhaps don't even really understand, but for some sort of purpose?
Towards Dan or myself or anything?
Dan may be an unfortunate collateral damage in the situation, possibly against Dan himself, but more generally, I mean, we have recently been involved in a situation where there was a grudge, a matter of wills and heritage and such, and unfortunately, many people from the town were caught up in this who were completely unrelated to the squabbles of the situation.
Oh dear. As I say, I have a list probably a mile long of people who may have taken issue with me, but I have not heard from any of them, so I couldn't possibly tell you there. Dan, as much as he is a drunken, slovenly man, is kind-hearted and good-natured. I can't imagine anybody would have taken ill against him. I shall think on whether I have heard, but as you may imagine, I have been slightly cut out of town gossip for a while now.
Perhaps if we were to go to the inn and ask around ourselves?
Yes,
That might,
Robert the barman He may well have been the last person to see Dan, so even as a point of interest there, it may be worth speaking to him. But yes, I shall think on if I can think of any lingering issues in the town.
And what are you hoping that comes of our visit here?
Well, obviously, I hope for the return of Dan. Every day that goes by is a decreased chance, I suppose, but there's always hope when there's no body. And of course, if it's not something dreadful, if I were to encounter it, that would be marvelous.
Did Dan have any other reason to call here, perhaps for work, or did he ever
No,
did you know
no.
him at all?
I did not know the man.
You
Only in
described him very
passing.
fondly. Only in passing. Because he's also, I suppose, somewhat estranged from the people of the town. Two of you probably are equally outsiders, almost.
In a way, but I suppose
Not to compare you to a drunkard.
The pub is a hub of the local community, so I suppose he is much more central to it than I. But no, he's certainly not been up to the house.
You have books on these sorts of creatures and the like. Do you have anything on what you may believe to be the goings on of the town? Anything in particular that has informed your opinion?
I've been looking through. I've not found anything yet, but I shall continue poring over this evening. And you're of course all welcome to join me if that's of interest. Or the beds are made up. You've had a long day's travel. I'll get some food made up soon, and yes, perhaps we can see what we can find in these tomes.
Might be an idea for, I don't know, some of us to see if we can catch the evening crowd at the pub.
I was hoping to stretch my legs.
Jolly good idea, yes. For now, perhaps you should go without me, and perhaps I can keep an eye on young
Adam.
Perhaps young Adam and I can play a game of sorts while you're away.
You all right with that, Adam?
Sipping his juice.
All right then.
Cool. Are you planning on heading out imminently?
Unless
Yeah,
Mosling
once
has
we're all settled in, once all
Yeah.
if we've got our beds sorted out, we know where we're going, we know where we're stumbling back to when we're half drunk. Then yeah.
Cool.
he is not carrying you home.
She could, but she won't.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Drag, just drag by the ankle.
Oh dear.
Cool. Let's leave it there for this week. I think that's a good jumping off point time-wise. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for playing. And Simba Room on Wednesdays. We should be back next Monday, all being well. Links to our social media and YouTube and Discord. Come join the Discord and chat to us. And Patreon are below the stream. Thank you to Utrecht43 for the names of Edmund Sykes and Lady Esmeralda Spence, and also bits of their personalities. It wasn't just names. So thank you very much for that. that was a thing with being a patron and being on our Discord. So if you want to give me some fun names for characters so I have to do less work, then that's great. But no, they're really good. Yeah, thank you very much for those. Utrecht 43. Have I missed anything? Oh, thank you, Lord Malice, for resubscribing. Is that Prime subscription or a normal subscription? Whichever it is, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Put them in the chat. I enjoyed that.
Good.
Still waiting on Boaty. Yeah, that was another Patreon suggestion of a character name.
Oh dear.
Maybe we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Maybe if you have to take a trawler on the Thames or something, that can be.
Maybe if we ever encounter a Kelpie or
Well, clearly that would be Kelpie McKelp face.
no, we get on Boaty McBoatface to get to Kelpie
Okay.
McKelpface, obviously.
I think Mosling is a permanent skeptic. I think I'm going to start every single story not believing that there's anything supernatural going on, because I think it's the most sensible way of proceeding forward. Most people are crazy and they see things, and only
That's
right.
sometimes are those supernatural things.
That's very Magnus Archives. If you haven't listened to the Magnus Archives, you should. But that's very
Okay.
Magnus Archives.
So,
Yeah,
but you weren't injured in the last session, were you? Or were you?
I was
You were
angry.
terrified.
He was so
Angry.
scared that he stayed out of the entire fight.
And the whole
Angry.
time playing with his camera.
Look, you laughing now, but you're going to fail a test one of these days and do exactly the same thing.
What, fiddle with your camera?
You might end up doing it. And one of these days,
Right.
Bonneville's just going to grab it out of my hands and go, I'm having a turn.
Yeah. Smash it on the ground.
42, and Mosling
No,
is Scully
no,
from
no.
the
I don't
X-Files.
think so.
Mosling is
Scully's
way
far
more irritating.
more interesting. Mosling is just like lifted, like not with any imagination, just as a Victorian gentleman with all of the same stupid ideas that Victorian gentlemen have. Like,
I'm really enjoying Esmeralda like batting off against Mosling and Constance in this. It's been quite fun.
it's two real
It
different
is
angles.
quite fun playing a character who does not like Esme when I absolutely love her. Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she's great. And great portrayal, Jonny. And yeah, just wonderful. She's awesome.
It's fun.
I like that
any-
with Vaesen over, like, the thing that Vaesen has over your Call of Cthulhu stories is now we have a range of regional accents as we sort of visit all over the country. I appreciate that.
It's fun.
I like that. We have this from Don't Kick Food.
You know what would have helped
True.
in an investigation into dogs? A kennel. Was that the other thing that you discussed as an option with the chapel?
Vaguely, yes.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
I don't know if we went for it seriously. Well,
Just people like
we could
dogs.
get
Was that
dogs.
was the real logic?
Yeah.
Dogs plus 2 to the fun of any adventure. Like, you know.
I also liked this little bit of extra canon from Justin.
As the adventure continues, and I continue to show the bloody corpses of Faye that Bonneville has shot, the children will get better at spotting things. It'll be when, like,
quickly followed by.
Oh yeah, I don't have that one saved. Hang on.
and that's the tooth fairy dead last week. It'll not be troubling anyone anymore.
Like,
Too many children, too many teeth coming out. It's getting too expensive. Tooth Fairy's got to go.
Next on the
That would be
next
a
against
perfect.
the wall will be Santa Claus.
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. I didn't want to go there, but I was like, you were saying, Jonny?
Christmas one shot.
It would be a perfect thing for like if you actually did that in the thing, and then I basically made it so that the kid was like, "But I lost a tooth yesterday, and there was a coin under my pillow this morning."
Get the gun, Bonneville.
Well, I'm the Hellboy representation of Tooth Fairies is the one that sticks most in my mind.
Oh dear.
Hellboy 2, yeah, they're not nice
Yeah.
things. I don't know
There was
whether
also
that's a general. Go on, sorry.
There was the film The Tooth Fairy as well, wasn't there, which wasn't very good.
Is
Horror-
that the
horror
one with
film.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson in it, or is this a different one? One of the Rock's early films was he played like a tough hard man.
There is one
Who
called Tooth
belittles
Fairy,
the
which
Tooth
has
Fairy.
Now, I'm knowing that this is the time of
yeah,
year
that has the
for,
Rock
you know,
in.
Yeah.
not wanting to disenchant people who have committed to believing in magical things, but I remember when I came across in my mother's room a bag of children's teeth that she had saved from all of the kids.
Oh, they were.
Which is a truly horrific experience, and
They
I
were
already
just from
didn't-
general kids. They
I
were
already
from
didn't believe
specific
in the
known
Tooth Fairy at this point. I was probably 20 or something, so I stopped believing a few years before that, and I was a big boy. And but like that bag of teeth, I was like, "There's nothing pleasant about this experience. There's no way of looking at the Tooth Fairy as anything other than sinister and sick in the head." Like,
I'm thinking of the film Darkness Falls. That was what I was thinking of. Tooth Fairy.
We've got a whole load of movie recommendations now to go away and
Yeah.
watch.
Yep.
Brush up on
I mean,
Starring.
With the Rock one.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody has actually recommended any of these films to you. I think we all went, all of these films are bad.
No, I
But
would
Hellboy
recommend
2.
Hellboy 2.
Oh, Hellboy 2,
2,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Don't watch the new Hellboy because that's a travesty, but the
I
Hellboy
haven't
2 is
seen
good.
that.
I think I got 5 minutes into it and I had to turn it off. Yeah.
well, that was fun. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone. Thanks viewers. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jonny,
thanks,
for running the
everybody.
game.
And we should hopefully be back next week. And then maybe whenever we play after that, Hooks will arrive in Bodmin. Cool. All right. Catch you all next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.